Greetings and welcome to my live stream. And today we are talking about why you should colon cleanse and how colon cleansing is more than just a physical cleanse. So I am streaming on multiple screens. So if you see me looking at different places, it's because I am on how many? I think 4 different platforms. But let me just introduce myself. I am Sage Joya. I am your former accountant, former corporate America accountant for more than a decade. And now I turned into a mind gut health practitioner for the last 25 years. And just as well, I am also a certified quantum biologist. So if you're wondering if I have any qualifications for talking about this subject, then you know that I have been around for more than 25 years and worked with hundreds of clients and helping them to cleanse their colon, to cleanse their gut naturally so they can move forward. So today, what I want to talk about and focus on is the fact that colon cleansing is more than just a physical cleanse. Like so many people think that they're just going to go cleanse their colon and they're just going to flush everything out at one time and then they're going to be all set. And I will tell you, if you approach someone to get your colon cleansed and you feel like you can just flush everything out at one time, you're in a dangerous place because it is unnatural to try to flush everything at one time. And maybe I think I should help you to understand that the colon is 5.5 feet long, plus or minus, depending on the individual. So can you imagine just going in and trying to cleanse 5 feet of material from an organ all at one time? You can cause a Herxheimer reaction. And a Herxheimer reaction is when you wind up getting sick because the cleansing is too much. Like when people do a parasite cleanse, it's so easy for them to have a Herxheimer reaction because the cleanse is typically so deep and they're releasing a lot at one time. And then all of a sudden they wind up getting sick and they think something's wrong with the cleanse. And it's not that there's anything wrong with the cleanse. It's just that they started cleansing too fast, too quickly, and all of a sudden the body becomes sick because you have to remember that when your body is in a place where you feel like you need to cleanse, it has held and maintained that position for a very long time. So if all of a sudden on one day you try to go in, you try to get everything out at one time, then the body is definitely going to say, this is like a no-go and I'm not feeling well. And so you wind up getting sick. So you want to be careful when you take that approach. But today, we're going to talk about the fact that the reason why colon cleansing is more than just a physical cleanse, it's because the colon is also responsible for storing emotional data as well. So you have emotional cleansing as well as physical cleansing. And when you work with the right person, you're going to do both of those things at the same time. And it makes it such a win-win because often when a person is having problems inside of their colon and they're feeling the need to cleanse the colon, it's actually because they have a plethora of emotional data that's sitting inside of that colon as well, and that needs to be cleansed as well. And to miss that point when you're trying to work with your colon is like detrimental because you might wind up having such a heavy cleanse and you'll have no idea that the reason why you're having this heavy cleanse is because you're cleansing emotional data at the same time. So I have a few talking points that I want to cover as we talk about this topic. So I just want to say welcome to all the people that have joined. And if you have any questions, please place them in the chat. And if it's the case that you have questions, but you're not comfortable with asking them here, or you might have questions after the live, this live is also going to be on YouTube, and you can place your questions on the live, even after the live, and I'll make sure that I get your questions answered for you, okay? So welcome, and let's start with the first talking point, which is why the colon is key for an emotional and a physical cleanse. So the thing that I talked about earlier is that you must understand that the colon is actually designed to hold on to emotional data as well. So on the LinkedIn side and the YouTube side and the Facebook side, I have slides that I can show everyone that is on the live, but on the TikTok side, unfortunately, you won't be able to see the slides. But again, you can check out the YouTube side, and then or you can head over to YouTube right now, and you can actually see the slides that are on the screen. But the reason why the colon is such a great place for both an emotional and a physical cleanse, as well as a spiritual cleanse, is because of the mind-gut connection that's taking place on the gut-brain axis. So if you look at this screen, then you'll see I have the brain mind sitting at the top of the diagram, and then I have the colon mind sitting at the bottom of the diagram. And it's because of that looping conversation that's taking place between the brain and the gut that it makes it the greatest opportunity to be able to cleanse both physically as well as emotionally. Because when the brain is perceiving something from your sense of sight, or even your sense of feeling or taste or sound or touch, then the brain perceives it and you have a thought behind whatever it is you're perceiving. And then there is an emotion that is generated based on what you have perceived. And based on that emotion, the body creates a chemical, a neuropeptide, a signaling molecule that then travels through the body, and it looks for a receptor on a cell to transmit that information. And when that information is transmitted into a cell, then the body raises its hand and says, hey, I just received a message from the brain that we're not happy. And I need to send this message throughout the rest of the body. So that's exactly what happens. That message translates through the rest of the body. And at some point, that messaging has to move through a digestive process. It's very similar to when you take food into the mouth, and then the mouth, the food that travels into the mouth runs through the digestive tract, and then it needs to translate, and it eventually runs into the colon, where the colon completes the digestion, and then it's excreted out of the body. But the problem is, if you are having emotional problems where you have an accumulation of emotional data that's sitting inside of the colon, then it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to release that material from the body, because the body is looking for you to maintain a level of consciousness and become aware of the fact that you have this emotional data that is sitting inside of the body, and we need to acknowledge it. We need to come into recognition as to what it is, so that it's so much easier for us to process this data. That's, again, what so many people miss, and they're wondering, why do I keep having gut problems? And it's because they are not addressing the emotional side of the colon. So that's the first talking point. The second talking point that I want to cover is some of the signs that your colon needs to have a cleanse. So there are a ton of signs that you can experience to help you to know that your colon is full of material that is blocking the body's functions and the digestive tract's ability to facilitate all of the responsibilities that it has thoroughly. And it's because some of the signs that you can have is you might be having brain fog. That will actually cause your digestive system to say something is wrong and something is blocking, and we actually need to release more material from the body so that we can function at our ideal capacity. And so if you're having problems inside of the brain, because of that gut-brain axis that you have, you're also going to have problems inside of the gut because of that looping conversation that's taking place on the gut-brain axis. So that will be a red flag to say you need to actually go through some cleansing. Another red flag that you might need to go through cleansing is if you're having acid reflux. So if you feel like you're having some type of reflux and things are just seeming like they want to go the other direction instead of completing digestion, that's a red flag to say, hey, my body is not doing well. I have too much physical as well as emotional material that is sitting inside of the digestive tract, and it is not completing digestion. So I need to raise my level of awareness And I probably should employ at least at a minimum a physical cleanse, but I'm trusting that you'll work with somebody that can help you with both the physical as well as the emotional cleanse. So you'll have your ideal cleansing that will take place, and then your body will begin to function optimally as the way you would desire. And thank you for the hearts that you're giving me on TikTok. I appreciate it. Okay, so then what becomes the third sign that you need to actually cleanse through your colon? There's so many signs, but you could have eczema. There are so many people out here that are having skin conditions. It could be eczema. It could be some other type of skin condition. There's so many different kinds. That's a sign that you need to cleanse, because what happens is you have a lot of material that, again, is sitting inside of the digestive tract, and particularly the last part of the digestive tract, which happens to be the colon. It is the finisher. If you don't release that material from the colon, then you're walking around and you're carrying around a lot of waste material. And so the skin is the largest organ on the body. And it is so easy for the skin to express to you, hey, red flag, I have too much waste inside of my body, and I really need to let go of this excrement so that I can begin to heal my body. So that's another sign that you need to cleanse. But again, remember, colon cleansing is not just about physically cleansing that waste material out of the body. It is also about that emotional data that also needs to be released from the body as well. Because when you're not releasing that emotional data, you can best believe that at some point you're going to run into an accumulation of waste again. Or you might have SIBO, or you might have acid reflux, or you might have stomach ulcers. And that's your body telling you, hello, we have not dealt with the emotional part of our pain. And so we're going to continue to have gut problems until we're able to release both the physical as well as the emotional data that is linked to that physical material inside of the body. And so one last example that you need to cleanse your colon, both physically and emotionally, is if you have SIBO. There are so many people out here that have SIBO, and I am a member of so many different groups where people have SIBO, and they're taking like tons of antibiotic medication, which I used to have to take all the time. And they're taking antibiotics for long periods of time. But studies now show that if you take antibiotics for longer than 3 months, it's a no-go. It's something that you actually need to stop doing. You need to take a break for a while, or maybe you should take a break for good, because antibiotics, if they're not chosen properly to target a specific strain, antibiotics have a tendency to not discriminate. And so they're just going to go after everything. And so some of that good bacteria that you need, it is also going to destroy. So when you start having to take antibiotics, you want to work with somebody that understands the fact that antibiotics need to be a little bit more targeted. But there are tons of other ways to address problems inside of your digestive tract when it comes to SIBO besides using antibiotics. But the point is that it's definitely a sign that you need to cleanse your colon from both the physical and the emotional waste, because SIBO is definitely saying, I'm not releasing enough waste material from my colon, and therefore there is a backlog of emotional and physical data that is sitting in my colon, which prevents the small intestine from releasing data in a timely manner. And that can easily cause bacterial overgrowth. And then you have another problem that you have to deal with. So that's another one of those signs that says, I need to cleanse. So now we're going to transition a bit, and we're going to move into some of the ways that you can implement relief. And so as a mind gut health practitioner for the last 25 years, I will say my favorite, and pretty much only, it's not the only, there's tons of other ways that you can implement a cleanse. But for me, I like for that cleanse to be thorough, for one. And then two, I am like pill adverse. I really don't like to take pills because I had to take so many as a child and I was never healed. And so when I was able to teach myself, wait a minute, I have 2 openings for my gut. And so for the people on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook, I have a slide for you. And it shows, and for the people on TikTok, you can, again, travel over to YouTube and you can see the slides. But it shows on this slide that you have two openings to your digestive tract. The first opening is the mouth opening, and then the second opening is the anal opening, which I like to call the exit opening for people who don't like to hear the word anus. But what I have done with my clients and what I learned along my journey is if I just use water, intention-based water, of course, and I introduce it to the exit opening of my digestive tract, then I'm going to address the issue head on. Instead of taking pills and trying to wait for that pill to influence my entire digestive tract and land in the colon and then have some results, which sometimes, in a lot of instances, people don't get results. And why do they not get results? Because the digestive tract is really slow and the peristalsis just isn't there. And by the time that pill reaches the colon, there's also not enough hydration in that colon for it to facilitate the goal that it was trying to achieve. So for me, with my clients and myself, I go directly to the source and I introduce intention-based water right through the exit opening of the digestive tract. Now, there is a way to do this and a way not to. And those are some of the things that I teach at my 4-day challenge. Just to let you guys know, I do have a 4-day challenge and I'm inviting all of you to attend, because that is where I teach you how to identify these emotional issues and how to address these emotional issues. But then in addition, since I am a certified quantum biologist, I also teach you how to use the quantum elements that are sitting right there in the environment for free that align with our bodies to help you to heal your gut for free. So you definitely want to try to secure a seat at the challenge, and you can press the link depending on where you're at on one of these platforms. But if you go to my bio, there's something there that will help you to access the challenge, and then you'll be able to participate. But as I was saying, going directly to the source and having the right application of giving this water to the source, you can address both the physical as well as the emotional issues that are sitting right inside of the digestive tract, right at the end at your colon. So you really want to address those issues as well, because a lot of people don't know, one, the colon, the entire digestive tract, called the gut, and then the last stop of that digestive tract is the colon. It's a nervous system. It's called the enteric nervous system. So there are a ton of people that are having problems with nervous system dysregulation, and they only take a look at the central nervous system. But because the gut has been scientifically proven as the second brain, the enteric nervous system and the central nervous system, they're communicating with each other. Just like the gut-brain axis, where you have the brain that is communicating with the gut. The brain is the central nervous system. The gut is the enteric nervous system. Both of these are a part of the autonomic nervous system. They are in conversation with each other. And so if you are having nervous system dysregulation, many people don't tell you, you have to look at what's happening or not happening inside of your digestive tract. If you are not releasing physical and emotional waste from that colon timely, you could best believe that at some point you could run into nervous system dysregulation, because carrying around a lot of physical waste as well as emotional waste, it's heavy inside of the body. And at some point in time, the body is saying, I can't move. I don't have the right level of flow that I'm looking for in order to move through life with grace. And oftentimes in both of those nervous systems, a lot of hydration is missing. And so if the body is ready and willing to participate in its function, it can't, because there's not enough hydration. So that's one of the things that you need to remember about the releasing waste material from the colon, and understanding that it's more than just a physical process, it's an emotional process as well. You need to remember to address both of the nervous systems, and that when you're cleansing through the colon, you give so much relief to the enteric nervous system, and it lends more opportunity for the central nervous system to regulate itself as well. That's one of the reasons why one of the signs that you need to do a colon cleanse is brain fog. Why? Because brain fog is part of the central nervous system, and the enteric nervous system is saying to the central nervous system, it's too full down here, and we just can't get it together. And when it gets communicated to the brain is like, okay, we're having difficulty because our entire unit, that's one thing that people miss, is that we're dealing with the whole body. The body is not in pieces. And so if you're having problems at the brain, you're probably going to have some problems at the gut. And if you're having problems in the gut, you're probably going to have some problems in the brain as well, because it's one unit. So you want to think about that when you're trying to address both the physical as well as the emotional waste that is sitting inside of the colon. So when you're able to implement this water cleansing, you have an opportunity to relax the enteric nervous system, which then lends for an additional opportunity to relax the central nervous system. And I will tell you, from the application that I use with clients, not only are they getting the opportunity to relax their nervous system, as well as to release a lot of that physical and emotional data from the body, they're also getting the opportunity to optimally hydrate their body. Most often, when people are experiencing things like chronic inflammation or eczema or back pain or joint pain, it's because their body is lacking the proper hydration, and so it can't move. So now you might think to yourself, well, how does that hydration impact us on the emotional level? Well, the thing that you need to understand also too about the colon, but the body as an entire unit, is that we have something in our body called fascia tissue. And you hear massage therapists talk about the fascia tissue a lot, because the fascia tissue in the quantum biology world that I'm in, we call it the water network, because alongside that fascia tissue is nothing but water. And it's that water that has been recently rediscovered that's called H3O2, but it's also called EZ water, EZ water. That EZ water is a crystalline gel-like substance. And so that water that is intertwined with the fascia tissue. Now, fascia tissue runs throughout your entire body. There's no beginning and there's no end to fascia tissue. And that fascia tissue that is co-joined with that water network, the H3O2, that holds the memory, that's also holding the emotional data that is inside of your body, that is also filtering through the colon as well. So when I introduce the water into the exit opening of my client's digestive tract, that is one of the most efficient ways for us to tap into what is that heaviness of emotion like. What does it translate into? What are the physical words that says, this is the material that you've been holding on into your body? And that's one of the reasons why your colon is jammed and you need to release that data from the body. So it's pretty fascinating stuff. And like I said, it's most important that you use the right application of that cleansing so that you can address both the physical part of the data that needs to release from itself from the colon, as well as the emotional part of that data that needs to release itself from the colon. So I'm going to invite everyone that's on here, if you have any questions, to please write down your questions, because the goal here for me is to make sure that you're served and that you are armed with enough information to at least start taking some steps. So what are 2 steps that you can take right now to support yourself when it comes to releasing that physical and emotional waste from the body? Well, one of the things that I would ask you guys to do is to just try to inventory your body. If you close your eyes, and some of you can do it with your eyes open, but if you close your eyes and you start scanning your body from head to toe, and you start thinking about your brain, and you start thinking to yourself, is my brain at its optimal function? Do I feel like it's free and it's working on a dime, or do I feel like it's kind of slow to pull in information? And if you feel that, that means you have brain fog. And I want you to just like go through your body. How is your neck? Does it feel stiff? That means you don't have enough hydration inside of there. How about your shoulders and and your neck and your chest? And how's your abdominal cavity? Do you feel like sometimes you get really queasy in your stomach and you want to throw up because it just seems like there's too much, or it feels full, you feel bloated all the time? And then I want you to keep going down, and I want you to think about, like, well, what about why do I have this back pain? And is there a connection to my colon? Is it kind of full, and that's why I'm kind of feeling the way that I feel? And then I want you to go down to your thighs, and I want you to think about, like, how do my thighs feel? Like, is it hard for me when I wake up in the morning? Does it feel like my joints are kind of tight and sluggish? That means that you're missing a lot of hydration inside of the body. And then I want you to keep going down to your knees, and then to your ankles and to your feet. And if you feel like you're having any problems, like maybe your feet feel stiff in the morning, or when you're walking it feels a little stiff, then that tells me that not only are you missing hydration in the body, but it probably is a good idea for us to think about cleansing that emotional and physical data from the colon so that we can jumpstart your body function again and give it the tools that it needs to work at its ideal level, whatever it is that you desire. So that's one of the things that I would love for you to do. Just scan your body, because if you scan your body and you find that you're having any of these difficulties, one of the things that I'm going to ask you to do is to join the challenge. Make sure you come to the challenge, because that is where I'm going to teach you a ton of free information. We're together for 4 days at the challenge, and I teach you how to identify these things that are feeling uncomfortable inside of the body. How do you choose the right application? Because there's 3 different applications of introducing water into the colon. There's one where you can do it yourself. There's another one where you're doing it yourself, but I'm guiding you through it. And then there's another one that just really takes you above and beyond where you want to be in terms of your health. And it's pretty fascinating, but we'll talk about that in the challenge. So what is one other thing that you can do to support yourself right now? I know that some of you that are on this live right now, you do have problems going to the bathroom. I already know. I've been there. I've done that for years. And like I said, I work with clients every day, been doing this for more than 25 years. And I know that the average person walking around out there actually has problems going to the bathroom, but it's just not a conversation that we have on a regular basis. And so the one thing that I would love for you to try tonight, and I want you to just relax and just try to receive the information I'm going to say, is breathing. Now, I can hear some of you sighing like, not the breathe thing again. Everybody's talking about breathing. And yes, it's like annoying, because you're thinking it's just breath. Like, how much of an impact can it have on the body? Well, this is how much of an impact it can have. And it's all about how you breathe. And so they have something out in the community these days called box breathing. And the way you box breathe is you take a deep breath in through your nose and you exhale through your mouth. And so when you take a deep breath in through your nose, you hold it for 4 seconds, and then you exhale. And after you exhale, you hold it for 4 seconds, and then you inhale again, and then you exhale. So I've been teaching people to breathe for more than 25 years. And I'm like, if you listen to some of my videos, you can actually hear me taking in deep inhales, because I'm so used to teaching people to breathe. But what I want you to do while you're sitting on the toilet tonight, and you're having difficulty releasing that material. Now, it does take some time for this exercise to really kick into the body, because you're building a new relationship with your body. Your digestive system has to relearn how to trust you. But what you're going to do is you're going to take a deep breath in through your nose, and then you're going to exhale through your mouth. And just remember that you're going to hold it for 4 seconds. So you take a deep breath in through your nose, hold, and exhale through your mouth. And then hold, and hold. And you just keep repeating the process. And I will tell you that once your body trusts you and your digestive tract is trusting you, eventually you will find that it will start to release, because what happens when you breathe is that you're pressing against the diaphragm, and then when you exhale, you're opening up. If you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook, if you look on the slide, you can see the long tube where there's like a neck, and then it kind of goes into the stomach and it goes through like the rest of the intestinal tract, what it does is it opens up that tract. That tract is called the lumen. And when you take a deep breath into your nose and you exhale, you're opening it up. And it's so much easier for you to receive as well as to release physical and emotional data from the body. So those are all the talking points that I wanted to cover for today. And because I know that I can talk about this subject like forever, and I have all kinds of tips and tricks that people can use to support that physical as well as that emotional cleanse. So this is something I can talk about forever. But I'm going to invite you guys to definitely come to the challenge. Go to my bio, and there should be a link there for you to access the challenge and come to the challenge. Seats are limited. Once they fill up, I have to close the challenge. But I'm sure there's seats still for now. And I'm inviting you to come because I'd love to teach you so much more about how you can release that physical as well as that emotional data from the body. Again, if you have any questions, please go to YouTube and type up your question underneath this particular live so I can get your questions answered for you. And you can also like DM me on any of the platforms and I can get your questions answered for you because I'm here to serve. And the last thing I want is for anyone to suffer with their colon, in particular, their digestive tract, because I was there. I suffered for a long time. And when I saw how easy it was for me to heal, it took me a long time to figure it out. That's what made me transition out of corporate America. And I laid down my accounting career so that I could become a mind gut practitioner and help people like you to release and to feel better on the inside. Because the thing I also didn't tell you is that the other piece of the puzzle when it comes to cleansing, I talked about physical and I talked about emotional, but I didn't talk about the spiritual part. So it's pretty fascinating and it definitely aligns with manifestation. So definitely come to the challenge and I'll teach you so much more. So for now, I want to let you know that I'll be live again tomorrow, probably at least 2 times. Look out for my live and I will chat with you guys soon. So have a wonderful night and I'll talk to you soon. And thank you so much for coming and make sure you follow me and press the like on this live. Bye. Uh-oh.